Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of Interplanetary I Spy going on here. Thanks to all the new subscribers that have come along recently, over 32,000 now. Great stuff. Check out, if you're new to the channel, check out some of my recent videos. This one is one of my favourites, the cave dwellings on Mars. There's a whole row of caves here. You can see them there, all in a row. That's not natural. That's in Gale Crater on the mountain. There's also those buildings like domes and pyramids and all sorts of interesting stuff. This is a cool one. Row of Statues on Mars Part 3. There's a literally like a grey alien kind of statue head leaning against these rocks here. That's really cool. So check out some of those. Let's crack on with it. The image we're looking at today is this one. And this goes back to Sol 914. Now, Sol 914 was taken in 2015, as you can see there. So this is the official Curiosity Rover image. Unfortunately, it's in black and white, and it has this grid on it. You can get rid of that grid by blurring the image very slightly, but only very slightly. If you blur it too much, it will ruin it even more. But I've also got this up here. This is a really nice gigapan by Neville Thompson. Lovely bit of work here. I'll show you where to look on the gigapan. Links will be below for these images and stuff. So you can click on those. This is the gigapan. It's right over to the left. It comes right up here, this ridge line, and then sort of right down the other side. And we've got loads of close-up detail and stuff in middle distance, which is good. And as usual, most of the interesting things on these ridge lines are near the bottom of the ridge. Very occasionally we get something near the top, but usually they're down near the bottom of the ridge. And this is no exception. We have this. Now, I call this the giant troll head for obvious reasons. Let's go in close. There we are. It's got an eye here, we've got a nose here, and a mouth here. And the lower jaw just showing here. Okay, so I've got it here. Also, this is the raw clip here, with nothing done to it. I just removed the grid, but there's no enhancements done to that, no brightness or anything. And this has been contrasted and color corrected, just to bring it to life, so it actually shows a bit more of the contours and shapes. And we have an eye here and an eye here, with some interesting detail in the eye just there. Rather large sort of wide but very flat nose. Now, the reason I ignored this for so many years because I thought, well, it kind of looks a bit like a head, and it kind of doesn't. And I was a bit sort of put off from publishing this because I couldn't really relate it to anything. But then I realised that if you look at the teeth here, these pointed, jagged teeth, it's very similar to something I found elsewhere. And I thought, we have a bit of a match here. And in fact, it's very similar in shape to this thing. So yes, it reminded me of this. I'm just going to play a bit of this through now. You've got this rounded shape. This one is actually kind of encrusted into the rock here, which would have been clay, which is hardened. This was a lake bed, so it would have been soft at some point, some of this stuff. And there we have it. Now, this is called Mars Life Uncovered, NASA Deception Busted Part 1. If you want to see this in more detail, there will be a link to this at the end of the video, so you can click straight onto that if you like. But we have a similar shape and similar teeth here. Let's go back to the other image and compare it. Here we are. I'm not saying it's the same, of course, but this is not a skull. This looks like a mummified head and has quite a sort of large cheek hanging down here. So there's flesh on here, even though it's very desiccated and dried out. And it's not just a skull, it's not just bone. This is a mixture of skin and bone by the looks of it. And it does conform with that other very large skull. The other large skull I just showed you is something in the realms of about 18 inches or 20 inches from here to here. So very large, and if you imagine this side coming out more, it would have been a very similar kind of round, wide shape to the one we're looking at. And it's pretty scary looking. Some people have said it looks a bit like one of the alien-human hybrid from one of the Alien films, Alien Resurrection, or one of those films. It does a bit, actually. And some people accused me of photoshopping this, but I haven't. You can see the raw image here. Let's go back to the raw image. There it is. It's there. And there are links to all of the images. I always provide links, so I don't fake any of this stuff. Of course, NASA may be faking some of these images. I know they do edit some images and cover things up, but they don't edit things into the images. What they tend to do is, if they see something that is blatantly manufactured, like an object, they will paste sand over it. They will just copy a bit of sand and then paste it over the detail. And some of this does look like it's been pasted out here. There's a slightly dubious looking missing parts to this, and I do wonder if a lot of these things are manipulated. So there we have it. There's the Gigapan. There'll be a link to this below. Thanks to Neville Thompson for putting this together. Another nice job here. Always does a good job. And I'll link to this video. I'll link to the original or the meme image I've got here. What I'll do is I'll put this up on ArtAlienTV Mars magazine for you, and you'll be able to download it as well, so you can have a look at it yourself. Very interesting. Some actual pupil detail there with what looks like an iris. Nose detail. Of course, it's probably eroded as well. It's probably got wind erosion. That's another thing. If this thing's been sat here for a long time, the wind would have kind of blown some of this away and eroded some of the skin and flesh. The dried skin and flesh would have kind of eroded away. So there we have it. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll put this on this page, Mars Magazine, ArtAlienTV Mars Magazine on Facebook, this group. And I'll put it at the top of the page so you can download it if you like. If it's not at the top of the page, just go to photos and scroll through and you'll see it near the top. Okay, so that'll be for free. And if you see any of my images with my logo on, they'll always have this little ArtAlienTV logo on. Feel free to download it or share it with your friends or whatever. Do what you like with it, okay? The more you share, the better. I really do need more people to share my videos on YouTube at the moment, on social media. They're not getting as many views as they should be, really, for the number of subscribers I have. So there's something rather strange going on there. And also, I've noticed now that the thought police are also censoring Facebook. I keep adding new members to the group, and the number doesn't go up. Or for every sort of 5 members I add, it only goes up by 1 or 2. So this seems to be being blocked in some way. And I do know that a lot of similar channels have been removed from Facebook over the years. So who knows what's going on there. So hopefully we'll find out what happens there. But, you know, do come along. There's loads of interesting stuff here. Lots of people posting stuff. And you will get a free app as well. For your mobile device, which has got no adverts on it. This is a space research app. The links to all my latest research. I've got loads of free software and all sorts of interesting stuff on there. Incidentally, these are all Mars images from Gale Crater. There's the one I just showed you. There's some from last year that I published and previous years. Also, this is very similar, this thing I'm showing you today, to this one, which is what I call the Olmec head. Okay. It's the same sort of shape, the rounded shape, and similar proportions and size to this. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll put a clip of that in a sec as well before we finish, just to compare it to this one, because there is a similar shape to it. It's not the same, but it is similar. And I do wonder if, and not only is it similar, this is also not very far away from the Olmec head, the one I called the Olmec head. This is only probably about 50 or 100 feet away. So it's in the same area between these ridges here. I think the Olmec head's around 950. So it's only probably less than 100 feet away from here, over to the left of here. In the same area, we've got a couple of other interesting things I'll point out very quickly. There is this thing towards the right of the Gigapan, which looks like another skull here. But this is all kind of broken down. There's a bit of the jaw here, nose here. There's an eye cavity there, and another one here, but it's kind of collapsed. This could be, but wasn't really that clear. I'll do a clip of that, do some enhancements, There's this weird bird thing. Now, lots of people have spotted this before and have put it on various groups on Facebook and stuff. It looks like a bird, but it just doesn't look natural, and it looks like part of a kind of carved statue or something. Now, there are statues of cats and dogs and other weird creatures as well that I found, monkeys and stuff like that. So why not birds? This looks like a beak. This may be heavily eroded. It looks like it's broken and was part of something. But it doesn't look like a bird. Interesting. So there's lots of these weird animal-looking things. Now, some of them just may be of pareidolia, of course, or it just may be a coincidence. But not all of them are. And there are way too many of them for them all to be a coincidence, I think. I mean, you do get these just interesting things that this looks a bit like a skull here, but who knows? That's what I would call very inconclusive. But there's just some crazy things on these ridge lines. And I've been going back through all the old images that I went through already about twice, and I keep finding new things. This one's pretty cool, actually, this thing. Looks very much like one of the skulls that was found by the Spirit rover years and years ago. The morphology is similar. It's got the big sort of nose and the sort of weird jaw coming down. So yeah, who knows? I will do an enhancement of that, put it in a minute. So that was about it, really. So do come along to Mars Magazine. You can download images, any of my images from there, all for free. And feel free to comment, okay? Because the more you comment, the more the videos get watched. If you don't comment on the videos, then they tend to get sort of pushed down in the rankings. So do come along. And also check out my channel if you haven't already checked out some of my earlier videos. There are I've got over 700 videos on YouTube now. It's about 740 now. And they go right back to 2013, and there's some crazy stuff that I found over the years on Mars and on the Moon and other places. So do come along. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you soon.